Hello.
Tuesday.
Well, let's get some music down here. It's Tuesday, guys. Time for some pop culture.
Hi, Dean.
Yes, it is. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. I'm even better now that Fingers out of Richmond, Virginia is playing this awesome theme to bring us into the show.
You know what the theme is, right, though?
Maniac Mansion.
Yep, his little remix of that.
It's his remix of it, which, of course, was my first ever favorite RPG game, being among the first RPG games, if not the first, come to think of it. So, yeah. Happy Tuesday, everybody. If you are joining us on the podcast, we are streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/popshow, every Tuesday starting at 8 p.m. Sometimes we go to 10, sometimes we go to 9, sometimes we go to 11, depending on what we're talking about.
Jeez.
That's a marathon show.
It is. Well, we got into that show when we cast the old Avengers.
I wanted to keep going.
I made him stop. We
still had Avengers to cast.
But it is great fun every Tuesday. You can join us and our pals and our followers and fans and whoever wants to join the conversation. If you want to download the podcast to listen to later, you're welcome to do that too. You can find us on Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, and iTunes. And we're pretty weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do take vacations every now and then because we like to sleep and eat and see our friends. But
I try to make sure to update the podcast at least by Saturday or Sunday. So, I mean, it takes me a few days. We got stuff after, the next few days after the show personally. But over the weekend, I make sure to crack down and edit the podcast and fix some levels and throw it up there for you guys so you can catch up before this show. And
every day on Facebook, we are discussing the latest and greatest pop culture news. So join us there, follow us, join the conversation, leave us a like, and share with your friends because we need friends.
Ooh, we got strong sweater game apparently again, according to Jessica.
Speaking of friends, Jessica says we've got a strong sweater game, which if you join us on Tuesday, you'll see our amazing Lebowski sweater over there.
That's what I'm wearing right now.
No one told me there was a dress code.
Yeah, really.
Well, it's freezing. It's almost freezing
I'm
outside.
Technically in a hoodie.
I'm cold. This is I want to stay warm during the show. Short of turning my heat up because
cheap.
Basically,
yeah.
Our power bill last month because of the 2 winter storms we had, it was astronomical. I'm not sure about you.
I lived through the same storm, so yes.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Just making sure your power bill was as bad as ours.
We all live here in beautiful coastal Virginia.
Yep, where it can be 60 degrees one day and then snowing within 2 days after that.
And it snowed today.
And then it was sunny at the end of the day.
It was sunny at the end of the day.
You wouldn't even know it snowed at this point.
Yeah, basically.
So what's everybody been doing in pop culture besides up in the sweater game and ignoring the sweater game? Dean, let's start with you. You're our guest.
I couldn't ignore the sweater game because I didn't know about the sweater game. But moving on.
Now you know.
Yes, I have mostly this week have been playing Dragon Ball Fighters.
All right.
The new game that came out. If you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z and you are moderately interested in fighting games, I definitely recommend that you check it out.
What is the platform?
It's on all platforms, Xbox. Well, it's not on Switch yet, but it's on Xbox and PS4.
Nice. I have continued my watching of Mrs. Maisel, and I can't bring myself to watch the last show of the season, the last episode. I can't bring myself to do it because it's so well written with human empathy. And it has so many of those embarrassing cringe moments. You know what I mean? Like, how when you watch a scene in a movie or a TV show with a character that you like and relate to, and then they do something so epically screwed up and you can see it coming, right? And you watch them and they're going to crash and burn. And you like, no, don't do it. And that's a sign of a well-written show because it reflects humanity and the way we are with each other. The second to last episode of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is a wonderful show and I believe earns all of the awards that it has won, is so cringeworthy in that embarrassment that I just know the fallout from it. It's going to be an amazing last episode, and I'm struggling with it. So Jessica said that she loved Mrs. Maisel. I've just got to work it up. I just got to work up I got to get ready to cringe.
Well, didn't Miles say it was a pretty heavy episode?
Miles
it was really
said
good.
there was a lot of.
It.
He did, but he said there was a lot of cringe in it.
Okay.
It's an empathy thing. I love the show, but yeah, it's definitely an empathy. And speaking of empathy, This Is Us is back.
Any ugly cries lately?
There was an ugly cry this past week, and I guess
some incident with a crock pot.
Yeah.
Apparently, we got to get rid of our crock pot now.
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, I like having food.
No, I actually cooked in the crock pot today, but
I'm waiting for the crock pot injury to complain about this TV show now.
They did. Well, they didn't complain, but they answered it about
how perfectly safe they are.
Yeah, they're safe, and people leave them on all day, and it's totally fine. But yeah, it's not a spoiler to say if you've been watching the show that there's a fire. Mm-hmm. And you know that the house catches on fire, and you know that a main character dies, and there's in the message boards that I totally don't follow because would never be that obsessed with the show. There's a lot of speculation as to whether or not this particular crock pot caused fire. Stop giving me that look.
I'm trying to come up with a witty name for the This Is Us message boards, and I got nothing. I really have nothing right now.
Neither of you are in any position to lecture me about nerdy fandom, okay? I'm just going to throw that out there. Neither are you, Internet.
I was mostly laughing at the expression on Keith's face, not on your fanaticism towards the show.
It's not fanatic. It's
No?
All right. It's a little fanatic. But it's a good absorbing show, and it is, someone called it like grief porn or something like that, which I think is probably pretty accurate. But I think that it's a human need that's being answered, and
One of these days I'll actually catch up with a currently airing show, but it is not this day.
I don't recommend that one. It's heavy.
I still need to finish the 10th season of Doctor Who, and I need to do Runaways, which I haven't finished yet.
Oh yeah, finish Runaways.
But I keep getting distracted. My wife Sarah and I are watching Deep Space Nine intermittently.
I see.
Since she hasn't seen it all the way through yet. And then we saw Pride and Prejudice at the Wells Theater over the weekend.
Did you?
Yes.
How was that?
I heard it was great.
Yeah, I particularly enjoyed it. But of course, you go see the play, and then you have to watch the A&E special with Colin Firth in it.
As you do.
And then you have to watch the Keira Knightley version of the movie to see how it how it compares to the best version, which is the A&E version.
Naturally.
And then you'll have to watch, Bride and Prejudice, the Bollywood spinoff. So I mean, it's just this cascading series of events you can't get out of.
That is true. Pride and Prejudice opens a lot of doors.
It does.
And then there is, of course, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
I have read that. I have not seen the movie.
I haven't read it, and I have not seen the movie.
The book was entertaining.
Yeah, okay.
The movie couldn't seem to decide what it wanted to be.
Well, I'd say that's evident in the title.
So like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Good book. Movie was kind of meh. Okay.
Keith, what have you been doing in pop culture?
I've been National Lampooning. That's been my kind of...
We have been, and we started Black Mirror, but we're late to the game on that one.
Yeah, horribly late at that one. We watched A Futile and Stupid Gesture. Highly recommend it. It was hilarious. And then I rewatched we watched that together, and then I rewatched the documentary Drunk, Stone, Brilliant, Dead about the whole Lampoon, and it was just... I've been absorbed in National Lampoon lately. I'm kind of feeling like watching Animal House or Caddyshack tonight. So
yeah, it was really good. And it was absurd in that Lampoon way. Mm-hmm. But
and not 100%, factually accurate, but they kind of call themselves out on it. And at actually one point during the movie, Martin Mull, who's playing an older Doug Kenny, says, in fact, this is a movie that we just made to have fun, and here's a list of all the things that we didn't include for production and timing values.
Brevity,
and they scroll a list on the screen of things they had to cut out. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
In true Lampoon fashion. But they really got into the history, and it wasn't all jokes, but a good portion of it was, but at the end, it's kind of somber if you don't know the whole story. But it was definitely worth a watch, and the documentary was even better because then you see, Matt Lucas, Will Forte, Domhnall Gleeson, Joel McHale, all these guys, and ladies, all these people playing these famous characters that we all know, and some we don't, because a lot of the Lampoon names, unless you were into the Lampoon, you didn't really know. You watch this documentary and you're like, oh, this is what all these people look like now, and it's kind of cool having that fictional story at least set, not a fictional story, but that story set up and that timeline, and then watching the documentary and seeing how it all tied together and everything. It was really cool. Yeah,
definitely. And it's funny, I was just thinking this because when we were preparing for tonight's topic, we were watching a speech that we'll bring up later. But the way the comedies has sort of shifted in our lifetimes. I mean, the comedies that my parents loved and when I was little. My mom has always been a big fan of the slapstick stuff anyway. Like, she was always a huge fan of Naked Gun, and even, like, to the point of being completely ridiculous, like when Scary Movie came out. She really loves that absolutely ridiculous stuff. But one of my dad's favorite movies was old Steve Martin. He loved The Man with Two Brains, and he loved The Jerk. And those are, watching them now, are just absolutely absurd. I mean, not even, and risque in a lot of ways that now seem sort of tame. And that's the same way with the Lampoon movies. Yeah. Like, at the time, it was like, do we need to rate this NC-17? And now it's like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, things evolve or downgrade as time goes on. So
standards have dropped.
Standards have dropped, but things that keep getting better with time. Greg from Local Heroes.
Greg has
That's
joined
not true,
us.
Actually. Standards have dropped.
Not at Local
And you should have
Heroes.
said, speaking of standards dropping, here's Greg from Local Heroes.
No, I'm not going to say that about your lovely store. The store keeps getting better.
It's true. I just put a new floor in today, so it did actually get better today.
Oh, wow. New floor. What prompted that?
Yeah.
Did you get flooded out?
Time some renovation.
Where'd you put the new floor in? Was it because of flooding or what?
No, I just needed some love, some TLC.
Okay. Well, since we got you on the line for the regulars,
let's talk about
we know what we got to do, but we got to do something first, Greg. You know what we got to do.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. By all means.
There it goes. I'm not doing the thing,
Dean, are you going to do it with me or no? Am I going to be the lone?
Do I even know what the thing is?
Comes with Greg. 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 I said I wasn't going to do it.
And then you did.
And then I did.
You could prepare me for these things.
Wow.
And,
Peer
I would,
pressure.
Sarah's never done it before.
I never
know,
have, Greg. This is how much I love Local Heroes.
Aw, it's touching.
Clearly, I know how much you cringe every week when the song comes on, and you threw it in this week, and it means a lot.
She did.
I embrace it.
And Dean,
Thank
if you
you.
watched and listened to the show on a regular basis, you would know this.
I have life, Keith. I
Shame.
have kids, something you don't know about.
Nope,
That's
I
true.
don't want to know
He-
about,
he
but that's a whole
doesn't.
other story.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I'm just telling you how things are.
Let's talk about anything else. Greg, what you got for us this week?
Comics this week, they are coming out as they always do on Wednesday. And I've chosen 3 this week to talk about. The first one is Doom Patrol Justice League crossover. It's called The Milk Wars, and it starts tomorrow with the JLA Doom Patrol special. It's the first issue. These are really cool because the Doom Patrol stuff it's written by Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance. He's a really good comic book writer, oddly enough, whether you like his music or not. And he created he spearheaded this new series of DC Comics. Then Doom Patrol was one of the books, and tomorrow it's crossing over with the Justice League proper, so that should be fun.
Awesome.
Cool.
I might have to pick that one up. It looks utterly ridiculous with Superman as a milkman.
Yeah.
So, all right, what's next on our list?
Those books have been kind of zany and weird, which is nice. They're not straight up superhero books. The Doom Patrol, Shade the Changing Girl, these Young Animals books from Gerard Way have not been your typical comic book fare.
Okay.
So it'll be cool to see them cross over.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
Also tomorrow is another cool book for Star Wars fans. I think people forget that Marvel does Star Wars comics and they're in canon, so they're part of the the real stuff that counts in the Star Wars universe. And tomorrow there's a one-shot featuring Benicio del Toro's character from the movie. And they're going to flesh out his story and kind of tell you more about him. So if you dug his character, I thought his character was one of the most interesting in The Last Jedi. So that'll be a fun book for tomorrow.
Is that just a one-shot?
Yeah, just one
Okay.
issue.
Okay.
So no serious commitment required, just $4.
Nice.
But the Marvel does a great job with Star Wars comics, and this is a fun kind of way to give you more info on some of the new characters.
For sure. I've actually really been enjoying the Star Wars comics. I've been keeping up with them, and I'll get them when the trades come out. But these one-shots I usually try to pick up because for some reason, they don't seem to reprint the one-shots within the trades because they're just kind of out there. They did one for Diego Luna's character, and they did Droids with the C-3PO getting his red arm. So they've had a few one-shots.
They've been great.
Yeah, I've enjoyed
and then the big book tomorrow is Dark Knight's Metal, number 5. It's got probably one of the better comic covers I've seen in a long time. Really great cover. Fans have been loving the series. It's been a solid hit. This is the penultimate issue, so things should get crazy right before the end, hopefully. I haven't had a chance to read this one yet, but the first 4 issues have been really good, and this Metal series has been amazing. So I'm stoked for issue 5 tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, I'll be picking up the trade of Metal when it comes out because so many people have been raving about that one. So I will definitely be getting a copy. So
yeah, it won't be too far off. The collections will be out, I think, in March. So not much longer.
Even better. Awesome. Well, where can we pick up these fine comics from you, sir?
Local Heroes with the shiny new floor, 1905 Colonial Avenue in Norfolk, right next to Kogan's and Cafe Stella. And if you're not listening to Popped in Norfolk, comicshoplocator.com, and you can find a comic store near you.
Awesome.
Come for the floor, stay for the comics.
Occasionally,
come and please, if you come in and you like the floor, say something because it really was hard work.
Well, I saw you guys lost Jack, so do you have anyone replacing her?
Yeah. Jack is moving on to bigger and better things. I'm sad. She's been there for about 5 years. Sibley's going to take full time. So, and we hired a couple new people. So, come say hi and meet the new folks.
Sounds good. Well, I'll be there tomorrow to say hi to them.
Cool. Thanks,
awesome.
Keith.
Take it easy, Greg.
You guys have a great night.
You too, man.
Bye.
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 Greg's awesome.
Greg is awesome. So, speaking of awesome things, do you want to do news?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we even have a little. I didn't do the news buttons last time.
Ooh, Publimeter. I refuse. Podcast listeners, we have a obviously royalty-free video of a newspaper.
You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please.
A Spanish newspaper.
Obviously.
That says Publimeter, but the O is like a globe, and I didn't notice until friend of the show, Miles, was here co-hosting, filling in one night, and he says, well, it's Publimetro, and I refuse to accept that reality. So here's your pop news sponsored by Publimeter. I don't, we can disregard the fact that I ever worked in news.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good time.
That's right.
What we need to do is when we get
I'm an American journalist. What do you want from me?
when we get our own Popped News app, we'll make sure to push alerts like constantly. Go
Oh
back
my
and
gosh.
forth.
So this is an aside and more, less pop culture and more, my annoyance of the day. For some reason, so I subscribe to news alerts on the Apple News app. And I do this because I'm a news junkie. I'm a recovering journalist, right? But also because I dial into a lot of pop culture stuff and I like to bring, pop culture news to the world. So occasionally there'll be breaking news about a movie development or someone will pass away or something like that. And I'll get the alert on my watch because I have to be that connected. And today, and I also, so CNN, my former employer, and I'm a big fan of CNN, I subscribe to them. Well, I don't know what happened technically at CNN. I never was in charge of this when I worked there, but somehow they had a news story today that the guy who accidentally informed everybody that there was a nuclear missile headed for Hawaii, he got fired.
Right.
I don't know why it took so long, but he got fired. So anyway,
It's a government job.
It's a government job. Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably about what you'd have to get
I thought
to
it
get
had
fired.
happened and everyone just assumed that it had taken place already.
Well, CNN, they tend to get a little punchy with their push alerts, but usually you can just ignore them, right? Just swipe up and go on with your life. Well, this one, it was like someone had left something on the enter button and went to the bathroom. These push alerts came sometimes 3 a second. I'm not even kidding. And then they were every 5 seconds, dozens and dozens. I'm sure it probably totaled in the hundreds. And it went on for probably 10, 15 minutes. And I'm trying to like text people and going like, what is happening? And this alert keeps popping up. And I thought it was my news app. So I turned off my phone and turned it back on and was immediately barraged with the story. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll read it. Like, so I clicked on it and pulled it open. And then I go to Twitter to complain because that's what you do in 2018. And sure enough, lots and lots of other people were complaining. It was like a nightmare. And, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. And I felt so bad for the guy who got fired, right? Like, obviously, he had the biggest, like, snafu of ever.
I'm taking crazy pills!
Right. Yeah, that's how I felt. Thank you there, Mugatu. No, I felt bad for him because obviously he thought the world was ending, and he made his entire state, like, totally crap their pants and got the whole country alarmed and got fired and had the most embarrassing moment of any of us in this room and probably listening. Nobody else, hopefully, is going to have a moment that embarrassing. And now, not only has he been fired, but CNN
Make certain that everyone knows it too.
They sent that alert so many times that like it got to the point that like people were tweeting about the alert, and all the tweets were, "Hey, that guy who sent the alert got a job at CNN sending alerts." So it's like, hey, here's your big gaping wound, and here's all the salt. Like, I just felt so bad. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my college roommate Alexis is watching on our Facebook page and comments that one time I spilled chicken soup on my laptop in college, and the result was that it typed R's continuously, which I didn't know. I thought I cleaned it up, and apparently I had not, and I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and I had like 15 pages of R's in the middle of my term paper. But, you know, I was going to do news. So let's do news.
Would you like to do news?
We do have
got plenty
we
of
have
time.
plenty of time. There's always time for Publimeter.
It's just going to be one of those 11 o'clock shows?
Yes. Well, if you're lucky.
Depends on how long of the speech you want to give at the end.
That's true, yes.
Uh-oh.
All right, first news item. Dean, why don't you go first? The trailer for Ant-Man and Wasp dropped today, and early reviews of Black Panther are stellar, so it looks like it's going to be a good week for the MCU. What do you think?
The trailer was definitely interesting. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of good, clever, funny bits in that. Definitely got me excited for the movie. I liked that it referenced Civil War, and you kind of get a feel for the time frame in which the movie's taking place, and you actually see some fallout from Civil War as opposed to just having it, be reset basically at the end of the Civil War movie. Black Panther, I am very optimistic about. I've seen these types of initial reports before for other movies, so I don't give them a lot of credence.
I don't blame you.
Just because
Cautious optimism.
every time a movie comes out, there's an initial Twitter feed, and everyone seems to think it's phenomenal, and then the first reviews come out, and it's just okay. So, but I do have my fingers crossed, hoping that it's good. The trailers have been excellent for it, and I definitely think that it's a hero that deserves his due.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with you there. And the red carpet, from a strictly fashion lover standpoint, the red carpet was amazing. I maybe read a little bit about that today. Keith, what do you think?
Marvel is playing up continuing on with Black Panther. I kind of think the same way. I'd like to see what they're going to do with it. I think I think they're going to do really well based off everything I've seen and the passion that everyone has for it. I think it's not going to fail. The pre-sales for it have been astronomical, which is great.
Yeah, they've been great.
A lot of people are trying to get out. They're very proud of this movie, as they should be, I think. Like you said, Dean, he's finally due for a movie, as are a lot of Marvel characters that have kind of been underappreciated until now. And as far as Ant-Man and Wasp, I'm actually looking more forward to the Wasp angle of it. Like, she kicked ass in that entire trailer.
That scene of her running along the edge of the knife was great.
Like, spinning beforehand. It was
awesome.
awesome.
Was good.
I do worry about the timeline for Ant-Man and Wasp, because is it supposed to take place after Infinity War? Does it mean they don't die?
I get the feeling that it takes place between Civil War and Infinity War.
That's kind of what I was
odd
wondering.
Because Infinity War comes out first.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I can live with that.
At this point, though, because productions are what they are, you can only fit so many movies in. Right. And that might just be the case in this one, kind of like with Spider-Man happening shortly right after Civil War, but it's been like a year since that Civil War movie. I heard Kevin Feige did say, and this is a while back after the Spider-Man stuff, that he did want to get a Marvel MCU timeline down. I guess saying Marvel MCU is like saying an ATM machine. You're duplicating words. Anyways, so I'd be curious to see how everything falls in the MCU timeline. I'm looking forward to it, though.
And with Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan is an excellent actor, so I'm definitely. After I mean, he was the best thing about the Fantastic Four movie,
and that's saying a lot.
And
so
both him and Ryan Coogler is the director. They did Creed, which was an excellent movie, so definitely have my hopes up for that.
Yeah, I think it's a good year. Well, at least this is promising. Not that I don't love all the Chris's and the many good-looking white guy superheroes. I am definitely a fan, but it is nice to. I mean, we don't even have a lot of real strong women. You know, I mean, there are strong women, well-written female characters in Marvel movies, but they tend to be the girlfriends or the sidekicks or the convenient,
plot devices.
Yeah, and I think that Wasp has an opportunity here, and I think that having the African character, I think these are good. These are good.
Well, and we've also got Captain Marvel coming up. Set photos are starting to leak out of that.
Yeah.
I actually, real quick, because I didn't get a chance to throw it up yet. This Ant-Man Wasp poster, I really wish I could have gotten paid a bunch of money to come up with that.
Oh, I have mixed
all
feelings.
White and 2 dots.
Yeah, so for those of you joining the podcast and not watching live, we're looking at the Ant-Man and Wasp poster, which says Ant-Man and Wasp all big in the middle, and then it's on a field of white, and there's these 2 tiny little dots, which of course are Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah, they did something similar with Ant-Man.
Is
the first one.
Like, I get it, and it's clever. It's kind of...
It's definitely better than the majority of the photoshopped people on posters that you get most of the time.
I appreciate the creativity, and I appreciate that it's not like, because you can Google for 5 seconds like movie posters that all look the same or DVD covers that all look the same, and they have like the girl leaning against the guy and them laughing, or the staring into the camera while 2 guys like are back to back. But there's all of these same movie posters that happen over and over and over. Even if the superheroes got all the faces and they're all looking in different directions, and there's like a beam or an explosion or something.
Little beam in the middle of the sky kind of thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jessica's on our Facebook feed. She says she loves it.
She's into marketing, though. Like, isn't that
absolutely
her bread and butter?
From my marketing standpoint, I too, it's smart. However, though, I did see some comments today that I think that a lot of people will think that it's like a printing error, which is a fair point.
But in this day and age, when we're getting like 3 or 4 posters, I mean, this is the first one. We're going to get another 2 or 3 more.
I'm sure we will. So, all right. Second news item. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Keith, you're first.
Okay. What do we got?
Fake Crocodile Dundee is fake. I know. We so knew that, though.
I didn't want to know it, though. I didn't like being right.
But it is fake. But we've got Hugh Jackman, Margot Robbie, Amber Rose. Is that her name?
Ruby Rose,
Amber Rose, whatever. She was in Orange is the New Black.
Yes.
And
Asa Fisher, Russell Crowe.
Yeah, there's all these amazing people in it.
Actually, let's see.
There's like a trailer that released that was hilarious.
Yeah, the trailer came out today. Here, we'll post this in our Facebook comments.
And it's super funny and adorable.
I love the fact that they put this together. I know it's just for a Super Bowl commercial, most likely, or whatever they're doing it for. It's a Tourism Australia. That's what it ended up being. It was a Tourism Australia
that is brilliant.
And kudos to them for putting this much money into it. And I don't know what they got paid, but I feel like I would, if I was Danny McBride or Hemsworth, I would have done it for free.
Absolutely.
Chump change. I guess
I like it better as the advertisement that it is, as opposed to an actual sequel to Crocodile Dundee.
But wait till you watch the trailer. Just I know I was on the fence because come on, Crocodile Dundee, beloved film, right? But I mean, this was pretty brilliant. And let me tell you, I pretty much want to go to Australia all the time anyway. But now I'm like, hey, let's Google Qantas Airlines and see how much it would actually cost.
I have to get to New Zealand first.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yep.
more on Dundee or next?
Dean, do you want to chime in?
That was my.
Have you seen the trailer yet?
I have not seen the trailer.
We'll watch the trailer after the show. I'll show you. It's pretty funny.
When I first heard it, I was like, oh no, not another reboot / sequel to a 80s beloved
Fair
film
thought.
or whatever. So the like I said, the fact that it's an advertisement is actually to me more clever than if it was actually trying to make a movie based off of it.
Fair thought. Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense. All right, next news item. Speaking of reboots,
Oh no.
Oh, jeez.
CBS orders pilots from Magnum PI, Cagney and Lacey, and they've got a lot of other stuff they're ordering
Why?
reboots for. Wait, I need my moan. Give me the. That's my general feeling about it. Now, okay, all right. I'm going to go first on this one. You guys don't
Have at it.
So when I was in college getting my undergraduate degree, one of the things we actually spent a good class on Cagney and Lacey and how important that show was when it came out because it had, it was a cop show and cop shows were big at the time and still are, but these are female driven and they weren't like kowtowing to men and it was a whole other dynamic and that was significant. We would touch on these culturally significant shows as they came out. I think that because it was culturally significant when it came out and that led to all the things like Law and Order, right? Mariska Hargitay is the boss. Like she is the show. And now they could, every cop's replaceable, right? But Law and Order SVU is like the last survivor, So I think that it would just feel watered down. It's like the original that everyone made a copy of and now they're trying to make it, I don't know.
I mean, I grew up watching these shows, and they were iconic for their time. So, but I just feel if you're going to remake it, you end up having like two different pitfalls. One, you keep it so close to the original that not only is why bother doing it, but then it feels dated, and it feels like since everything else is now modeled itself after that show, it doesn't feel unique or new. And then if you change it so that it's not like that, then everyone's going to complain that it's not like the original show, so why'd you make it?
Now, here's a question. Because it's CBS, do you think that it's a reaction to Star Trek and the success there?
It's tough to say, though, because Star Trek has a universe. Star Trek has happened in
Do you
different
suggest
iterations.
that people don't have entire universes built up around Magnum PI?
I mean, they could. I heard
I
the director.
guarantee you that there's somebody.
Yeah,
out there
somebody
that-
out there is really into it.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, the universe, the whole concept of like crossover universes, has been happening for decades. Happy Days and Mork and Mindy crossed over. It's nothing new. And they had their fun with it, but they didn't try to build a whole universe about it and like smother us with a bunch of content from the said universe so you get tired of it and you get like Star Wars fatigue, for example, with spin-off movies and all this stuff. And I actually heard today that the director of Crank wants to have a Jason Statham universe and just have movies based around Jason Statham's character, excuse me. But I think my thing for these reboots is, Dean, you're absolutely right on the 2 points. Either they make it too close or they make it not close enough. But why make it in the first place? Why not, say, hey, we're going to come out with this cop drama about two, strong female characters, but our inspirations were Cagney and Lacey and, Bonnie and Clyde and all, this is where we pulled our inspiration from to create this new series. And that way there's no expectations. I wish that's what Hollywood would do.
Well, Alexis brings up a good point on our Facebook feed that they're talking about doing a Charmed reboot too, which was another.
Yes.
Now that's another female-driven show, and it's always so. Cagney and Lacey, Roseanne is. We're just counting down to that one. That's a female-driven show. Charmed being a female, and now Shannon Doherty and Rose McGowan's going to complain about everything, but Alyssa Milano, they have come out and saying the show seems like a bad idea because it was always female driven, and are they going to reboot it to make it more feminist? What's going to happen? So I don't know. I'm interested to see how they treat it because there's a lot of interesting developments in Hollywood when it comes to women right now.
Right.
And we tend not to get into those sort of dark like politics and
yeah, we want to keep it fun around here, but we do like to talk about.
We try to keep it light, but it is interesting to see how this, these outspoken women are affecting maybe the lineup. Now, Jessica even asks on our Facebook feed, do you think the current feminist climate is spurring these reboots? You know, it's tough to say when asking, you know, these aren't pilots that are shot. The glory of the internet is that we get to hear about them before anybody even picks up a pen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's totally, I think, reasonable to say that this feminist surge of empowerment could be leading to this stuff. I just wish it was empowering female writers with original ideas. And I know there's so many of them out there.
Well, there is, because what are you watching right now? Your favorite show right now on Amazon, The Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Right. Well, like, even take Shonda Rhimes, for crying out loud, runs this joint, right? You know, she's all over TV and brilliant. And yet still, we'd rather get stale reboots than original ideas.
Would we, though? Because I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I don't
we're
know.
just...
I guess it depends on studio heads, really.
And that's the thing that I can't figure out, because everyone I talk to is like, nah, another reboot, whatever. You know, at this point, we've gotten complacent to it. I mean, we're apathetic to reboots at this point. It's like, oh, another reboot. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of ignore it and move on and just focus on our... Because there is... Now, this being said, we are getting a lot of reboots, but there is a lot of good original content out there. You know, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu.
It's a great time for TV.
Even some of the comic adaptations that are coming out, and some of the stuff more, not necessarily pop culture, but geek culture, they're really infusing a lot of these and updating these ideas, and they're adapting them really well. Marvel's Runaways did really well. Started off, at least. We're getting Birthright, which is another comic coming out, and we're getting a lot of movies and TV shows that are quality television out there. So, you know, the reboots, just kind of take them for what they are, and they're a grain of salt in all this stuff.
Now, I will say there are some things that are riding that nostalgia wave that are paying off.
Yes.
You know,
Will and Grace.
Yeah, Will and Grace are paying off. You know, the Turtles, to your fandoms, enjoys a long life, you know, a long and healthy life, because every sort of wave of Saturday morning kids gets a new one. You know, and they're not all winners, but
yeah, we'll see. The Turtles is about to release their new art for the new show on February 1st, so we'll see what happens.
But I will say, though, Cagney and Lacey is something that I've heard about, but it started before I was born. And it was never...
Dean's old.
You guys, I'm telling you,
but
I knew that was coming.
Now, it was on through, like the late 80s?
Yeah.
1988. Thank you, Wikipedia. But, you know, it's not something that I was really ingrained in. It was sort of... It missed that Nick at Night, you know, it's like in that weird spot, because it was too fresh to be... It's probably on Nick at Night now.
Well, until they reboot Laverne and Shirley.
Give it time.
I know.
Well, they have to reboot Happy Days first.
Yeah. The question, in regards to if they're writing the Star Trek thing, are these shows planned to be on CBS All Access, or are they going to be on actual television?
I think right now they're just rumors.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be an indication to me of whether or not they're thinking, oh, wait, Star Trek was so successful, let's just put all these shows on
one here, one there.
Our app, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Krypton's going to be a strictly All Access app. I think. I could be. Hang on. I feel like
What is Krypton?
It is a prequel to Superman.
Which Superman?
The Clark Kent Superman.
No, okay. I know who Superman is, but I'm like, well, like which part of the Superman?
It's going to be a standalone thing.
Like Smallville.
Like
no, like not part of that universe. It's a whole standalone show. It's not going to tie to Smallville. It's not going to tie to Lois and the Adventures of Lois and Clark.
Okay, but is it like the Smallville timeline?
No, it's not tying into any show. It's
Superman's great-grandfather or grandfather.
It's someone goes
Superman lineage.
Some DC character, I can't remember which one it is, goes back in time to before Krypton explodes and meets up with Clark Kent, Superman's grandfather. And tells him what's going to happen and how his grandson is going to become this great superhero, and it starts to move on from there.
So is there baby Clark with the little curl like there was in the movies?
He won't even be around.
No.
He won't have been born.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Kal-El is born like minutes before the planet explodes, so I wouldn't expect to see him on the show at all.
I could see. Well,
is it Booster Gold that goes back in time?
It is in the comic books, but they changed it for this because no one knows who Booster Gold is. I guess,
that's a fair point. So yeah.
Now, see, I don't know if I would really count that as a reboot, though, because it's a
it's
tangential arc to something that exists.
Right. No, it's I wasn't asking it as a reboot. I was just more asking, is it going to be strictly an all... I thought it was going to be an all-access thing, but I can't find where that's
It
going to
might
be.
That stuff is so early
and
on.
we,
Oh, no,
we
wait,
all, of course, all know what our
completely wrong.
my opinions are on the all access apps and so forth.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on
It's
Sci-Fi.
on Sci-Fi. I was incredibly wrong on all of that stuff. Why did I think it was CBS?
Maybe
It
because I was
sounds like
talking about
something-
CBS.
Maybe.
It sounds like
Access.
something
Yeah.
CBS would do. All right, well,
Anyways.
Krypton on Sci-Fi premiering
March-ish?
March.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
well, it's
March
right around the
21st.
corner.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, speaking of weird reboots, sort of, Reba McEntire has announced that she hasn't announced, but she has been announced as the new Colonel Sanders.
This is so weird.
Well, okay, so I don't think I knew how often they switch out Colonel Sanders is.
I didn't
Sandai?
realize it was. I didn't really realize it was a big thing.
I
I think it's smart that they make it a big thing because I think that it's like Super Bowl ads or movie trailers. Like if you can get your brand to where people are sharing your ads without being paid to, like that's pretty smart. So every time they announce a new colonel, they make a big deal out of it. And it was who have we had so far? Norm Macdonald.
Rob Riggle.
Yeah, and like all these random guys to play Colonel Sanders and now a random lady. You know, I mean, hey, I'm a fan of Reba. She's hilarious.
She is.
And,
No, I didn't.
and kind of tiny.
It's
You
just-
know, so
It's just random.
I mean, yeah, but like if they've got the money to burn,
yeah, I guess.
why not? You know, hire Tracy Jordan.
I really hope they have.
That would be great.
That would
No,
be
wait, no,
interesting.
should.
Tracy Morgan. Tracy
Oh.
Jordan's the fake one.
Really?
Yeah.
Daggone it. I do that all the time. Sorry, Tracy Jordan. Morgan. Morgan is the real one. I know. Well, that's because I
Tracy
immediately
Morgan
forgot.
is the real one.
Tracy Morgan. Didn't I say?
No, you said
No.
Jordan.
Okay. Well,
She's under pressure now. She's not going to get it right.
yeah, no, of course
no, I'll
not.
never get it right. And
Oh,
Jess comments that they have brilliant marketers, which I totally agree with.
Yeah, for sure.
But here we are on a podcast talking about KFC, and they did not pay us a dime. Which, by the way, KFC, if you want to pay us a dime, we'll take it.
Just let us know. Literally, that's all we need.
Yeah,
is
no, a
dime.
dime. We'll talk
Yeah.
about
I'll
KFC.
even eat your chicken.
I'm trying to see like Jim. Okay, here we go. Jim Gaffigan, and look at this. February 2016, Jim Gaffigan was doing it. September 2016, Rob Riggle. I never pronounced
Oh
his
yeah,
name right.
Billy Zane did it.
April 2017, Rob Lowe.
That's right. Now see,
so they're changing them out like diapers at this point.
Yeah.
I know, and it's always funny, and I can't
Ray
remember
Liotta.
ever seeing an ad outside of their announcement of who the new colonel is. So you got to wonder.
Yeah, I remember Daryl Hammond and Norm Macdonald doing it.
This
for
is
Yeah.
something that's really completely passed you by as a person who doesn't really watch TV.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think like Twitter or something.
I don't remember how. Now Jessica was saying KFC only follows 11 people on Twitter. Isn't
Oh,
it spices
They're
or something?
herbs and spices.
Yeah.
11 secret herbs and like the Spice Girls or something like that. I can't remember. It's something really clever, and someone put it together, and then of course they went viral. KFC has the brand to do that, and I appreciate that because a lot of the professional marketing I've done in my life has not had a brand that would allow that kind of silliness.
Arby's also does too. Actually, Arby's gets really into the geek culture. Like I'll be scrolling through Instagram and I'll see Arby's like an ad for Arby's, and what they've done is they've like cut up their wrappers and cardboard for the fry containers and stuff, and they've turned it into like a Transformer or a Ninja Turtle. And sometimes they'll be animated, sometimes they won't be. Like the one I saw recently was like Wolverine's claws and stuff.
Oh yeah,
And
they
it's
did a
really-
Dalek for
yeah,
Doctor Who.
that was another one. And they play with it and they have a lot of fun. So Arby's and KFC, really good marketing.
And of course, we share it.
Yeah, we
because
do.
it speaks directly to us. So yeah, it's good. We're talking a lot about marketing today on Pop, but good for them. And okay, last story. Unless anybody has more on KFC's weird new casting.
Nope,
Nope,
I'm
I'm
good.
done.
The last story I've saved the best for last in the category of most delightful thing ever. Tom Hanks will play Mr. Rogers in an upcoming biopic that was released this week. It makes me
Just
all
makes
warm
sense.
and fuzzy to think that because, I just have so much respect for both of these men. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you, not a day goes by that I don't pray that nobody comes out against Tom Hanks.
Oh, they're gonna say Mr. Rogers.
That'd be a sad day.
I can't see it, but then again, I couldn't see it for a lot of these men in Hollywood that I previously liked and respected. So
I'm trying to think. Like I saw. I forgot which parody, it was parody website it was, but they came out with an article saying, Tom Hanks has really done it. he's the nicest guy in Hollywood. Like they played it up as if it was
Yeah.
another accusation. It ended up just being him being nice.
Tom Hanks outed as a good guy.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm trying to figure out how many like people he has portrayed now, like because I mean he did the Walt Disney in Saving Mr. Banks.
Yeah.
He's done some other.
He
ones.
played the Captain Sully on.
Yep.
He played.
I'm trying to go through and see what I can find here. And he
Sheriff
was in
Woody.
Catch Me. What is it? The one with
Oh
Stephen
yeah, Catch Me If You Can.
Can. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's a real guy.
The Post.
Yeah.
Just watch that one. The circles, but
Captain Phillips, a real guy.
yep. So Tom Hanks has really gotten the market on real people and doing biopics of just general people that we think of as heroes or have survived great trauma. If you think about it.
That
Yeah.
is that is true. And yeah.
I mean, how can you not love Mr. Rogers?
Who could you trust that character, or well, he's not a character, he's a real person. But who could you trust that personification to? So I'm
trying to think. I can't think of anyone else who
me
could.
happy.
I
I'm
couldn't-
optimistic.
I couldn't think of anyone else who could do Mr. Rogers. I mean, Tom Hanks would be the.
Yeah,
I got nothing.
yeah, Tom Hanks would be the first one on my list.
John Lithgow. I mean, he's bald and weird, but I mean, he's got us.
He's
I don't know.
kind of old.
Yeah,
I guess Mr. Rogers also got old.
that people do that from time to time.
Trust me, they do.
Dean knows.
Yes.
So
Well, okay. Yeah, all right, good casting. We're good. We're
yeah,
good with it.
we fully approve of
Popped
this.
approves.
Jessica doesn't like my John Lithgow. All right, fine. I just really like John Lithgow.
Yeah, but he would. Well,
He wouldn't make a good
He
Fred
was a really
Rogers,
good Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
All right.
Next thing you know, next year they're going to come out with a Bob Ross biopic.
Only if it's done by Ryan Reynolds.
I could see it. All right. Well, I guess we should move on to our big topic of the evening.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
as of right now, other than Popped, there are a few other things going on. A little thing called the State of the
What?
Union. And if you're
Oh.
I'm
watching
trying to
us,
pretend that doesn't exist. That's why I'm here.
Oh my gosh.
hang on real quick. Vanessa Davis says Matthew Broderick wouldn't work. He killed a girl.
He did.
So he wouldn't.
Yeah, IRL.
Yeah.
Although I could see him.
You and your young kids speak.
You know. Well,
Yeah, it actually took me a minute to realize what you were trying to say.
yes, he killed somebody in real life.
Yes. So yeah, Matthew Broderick wouldn't work. But back to what I was saying. There are things going on tonight on television. If
Yep.
you're watching us live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. right here on Facebook.
That
We-
means you're missing the Flash.
It is meaning I'm missing
And
the Flash
it means
and
you're missing
Black
This
Lightning.
and This Is Us.
Yep.
Is Thursday is Tuesday nights.
Yep.
But tonight all that is being ignored because of the State of the Union. Also popped.
Yes, mainly us.
ma-
So
mainly
we,
to watch
we would
us.
prefer you to watch us.
Right, on facebook.com/popshow.
Yes.
But yeah, the State of the Union is happening tonight, which since we're obviously going to miss it and would probably be missing it anyway,
I can't remember the last time I watched a State of the Union.
I can. But we are going to discuss famous movie and TV speeches, which, again, we do this. We plan out the show very carefully and discuss it, and then discuss it so much that by the time that we're sitting down here talking to each other for the entertainment of our lovely fans and followers, we have totally talked about everything we want to talk about. So we had to shut each other up, and we saved our favorite speeches
I write it down now.
for you. Yes, I know.
Just-
We've started to write it down to help. So please chime in on our Facebook. Give us a tweet at Pop Show if you like, and tell us what your favorite TV and movie speech is. And we will start with ours, and you can agree or disagree.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be a speech or inspirational per se. I mean, it can be a rant, it can be a monologue, soliloquy, if you don't want to play.
Yeah, something that
You know.
something that works, something that resonated with you and stuck in your head and matters.
Yeah.
So all right, so leave your comments, but we'll go first. Dean?
Are we doing this in a particular order?
Nope.
No.
Right.
Round robin, maybe. You know, you give one or two. I'll.
All right, so I'll start off lower on my list, especially since the movie just came out. Spider-Man: Homecoming. When Iron Man, Tony Stark confronts Peter Parker after the mishap, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Oh yeah, okay.
can dig
Where
that.
some people might find it cheesy or over the top or whatever for him, but when he said, if some people had died on that ship, that would have been on you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had died, that would have been on me. And just as the fact that I'm a parent now, it's meant more to me to hear that than for some other people probably.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, and it showed the evolution of Tony Stark's character over the past 10 years. 10 years ago, he was, a booze hound, selling weapons and stuff. And so it kind of shows how well he's evolved and how he's taken that responsibility of a hero really seriously. So that's a good one. I hadn't thought about that one. So, Sarah, would you like to go next?
Yes. So several speeches came to mind for me.
Okay.
But probably my favorite that is on my list. Well, I don't know. It's not my favorite, but it sort of is different in tone than the powerful, dramatic, uplifting speech, or the inspirational, or that's sort of where your mind goes. Like you immediately think of Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, and Always Be Closing, or Independence Day, or which we'll get to those. But the one that I thought of that I really love was at the end of Crazy Stupid Love, which is a chick flick, but I thought was very adorable and well done. Cal is Steve Carell's character. And the whole movie is about these turbulent connections, and he and his wife split up, and they can never figure it out to get back on the same page. And there's obviously still love there, but I feel like that would be true for any divorcing couple,
Right.
So, but anyway, at the end of the movie, his son it was like his 8th grade graduation, and was giving the 8th grade graduation speech, and the son was like, "Love is stupid." and he's giving this whole speech, and Cal, who's the dad, who's had all this, turbulation, stands up and is like, "No, stop." And then of course everybody's looking at him. So he gives this whole thing about I love my wife and I hate her sometimes, and this is not easy, and we don't know what's going to happen, and this is such a mess, but here we are, and it just sucks sometimes, but love isn't stupid, and I hope we can agree that we're all just trying to figure this out. And I was like, yeah, that's totally honest. So that was mine.
All right.
That was one of mine. Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah, a little heartfelt romantic right
Yeah,
there.
a little romance.
And Dean's going on about responsibility and stuff.
And I'm over here like, love is hard.
And you know what? I'm gonna buck all that. I'm gonna go with Animal House. Bluto's speech to get the Deltas riled up.
That's a great
riled
one.
up. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Don't forget it. He's rolling. And, he gets everyone. He runs out. He's like, "Are you with me?" And he runs out. No one follows him. He's like, "All right, you sorry sacks of losers." Where's the Deltas I used to know, where you used to get out there and he gave this big old speech. And obviously, I'm in a National Lampoon mood because of the documentary and the movie on Netflix. But I mean, you can't deny Belushi's charisma in that whole movie, for one, but also in that speech. And it was ridiculous, it was silly, but you know what? It got all the Deltas ready to go. They crashed the parade.
Well, it's appropriate that that's what led the charge.
Yeah.
For the Deltas.
Yep.
Totally is. Dean, go for it.
The next one I'll go with is Malcolm Reynolds from Serenity.
Ooh,
you go through the entire movie, and at the beginning he's always saying he's telling people people say that he doesn't care, and he always comes back with when you see me care, you'll know it.
Yeah.
And this after they find out what the conspiracy of the movie is about, and they listen to what the government had done, and he's talking about how these people thought that they could control your lives, and at the end the speech ends with, "I aim to misbehave." Such a killer. And
even the way Whedon shot that, because he's got the light coming from behind him, so it's kind of giving this weird halo effect, and it was a really good little speech. So
definitely.
Sarah, what do you got?
So one of my favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption, and there's a lot of great dialogue, in that movie, but the speech that jumped out to my mind, the film starts with read before the parole board, and they deny him, and they keep denying him through the whole movie. And this speech where the last time he faces the parole board before he's granted parole, he gives this whole speech about how I bet you'd like to hear that I'm reformed and all this stuff, and I would take it back of that horrible thing that I did, but who the hell cares? Was kind of he was like, I'm old, do what you want, stamp your little form. And it's so funny because well, it's not funny, but it Stephen King wrote Shawshank Redemption, a short story. And the writing and the screenplay was so good, and it's this iconic movie. And this speech bookends his time in prison, you know, from when Andy Dufresne gets there to the end. And it pivots the whole film because he's granted parole. And he had this whole wrote speech about, yes, I'm 100% redeemed. I am not a danger to society. And they always denied him. And then he goes in there and he was like, man, screw you. Do whatever you want. Then they grant him his freedom. And he, okay, if you haven't seen Shawshank by now, I'm spoiling it for you, whatever. But then, he runs away to Mexico and it has this great life with his friend. So that, it was just such a good summation of remorse and apathy and just being worn down. They say in Shawshank that they sentence you to life, and that's exactly what they take. And that speech just summed that up perfectly.
Well, Vanessa agrees with you.
Yeah.
Hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah, it was a good one.
All right. Well, let's see. I've got my list here of what I want to do. I've got a whole list of them. I'm going to go, while it wasn't a great movie, Blues Brothers 2000, they are trying to, they got the band back together at this point. They're going to go play another gig, and the Bluesmobile runs out of gas. They don't know how. It's a supernatural car anyways. It can jump over Nazis. It can flip over backwards. It can go underwater, but somehow it still runs out of gas. I don't know. That aside, the band's kind of discouraged at this point. They finally gotten fed up, and they need some motivation to keep on going. And Elwood goes into this whole speech about how the blues are dying. It's a lost genre of music, and that if these guys keep playing, they're keeping the legacy of Muddy Waters, Bobby Bland, and all these famous musicians alive. And he just runs through this whole list. And Elwood didn't really talk in the first movie, but the second movie, he really goes on some long rants and speeches like this. And this one was just really good. He talks about how the band hits that groove and how you're going to continue this blues legacy, how it's a dying genre. And it gets them all motivated. While it wasn't a great movie, I really enjoyed that speech. So,
respect for the music.
Vanessa agrees with me.
Yeah, definitely. And Alex on our Facebook feed chimes in that he likes the Inches speech, Al Pacino, Any Given Sunday, which I saw mentioned on a lot of forums, but I'm not 100% sure I've ever actually seen that movie.
Can't say I have either.
So, Alex, we will add it to our list because it is a good one, according to you and the rest of the internet.
Yes, because what we'll do, actually, let's go ahead and give a little plug here. You see me kind of looking off to the side occasionally. I am typing this whole list up, and I will put this whole list and any YouTube clips I can find or any transcripts up on our webpage, popshow.com.
Popshow.com.
And that should be available by Friday if I get time to it, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Dean, what's next on your list?
Since I don't want them to all necessarily be serious or whatever, the president's speech in Independence Day at the end of the film.
That was on my list too.
I mean,
I think it's on everybody's
list. It's everyone's list. I mean, the movie is completely over the top, and the whole attitude of America first, heck yeah, that sort of thing. Hoorah.
Right.
But at the same time, there's something about the speech that just kind of gets you. It's like I was actually on board with him as he was delivering it. It's like, yep, this is what we're gonna do. This is our mission. We're gonna take care of this problem.
It was very passionate, and well delivered.
And do you know that I don't know how that speech would work with another actor? I think Bill Pullman is just so relatable. I don't know why.
Because he has the Schwartz.
The Schwartz.
Even Lone Star, Spaceballs.
Yeah. She's
I last saw Spaceballs like 15 years ago.
Oh, we got to remedy that.
Yeah,
we
I know.
really got to fix that.
Did you get the upside or the downside of the Schwartz? Like, there's two sides. Right?
Schwartz is big. All right, we're getting.
I'm gonna pull you guys out of that rabbit hole.
Yeah, go for it.
So I am going to go with the speech that we were watching, and I forgot about it until I was sitting here before the show started. Okay, back to all that classic comedy of the 70s and 80s.
Yes.
I'm laughing just thinking about it. The Jerk, which was 1979, I think. I don't remember. I have to look it up. So it is one of these over-the-top young Steve Martin movies. He's absolutely ridiculous. And he and his girlfriend or wife or whatever break up, and he makes this whole big deal about, fine, I'm leaving. I don't need anything. I don't need anything except for this ashtray. I don't need anything but this ashtray and this remote. And like he just goes on. And it's just this sort of absurdity that like you get from that era, and it's funny for no real good reason. And he leaves the house like in his boxer shorts and a bathrobe, like carrying armfuls of stuff because he doesn't need anything except for all this stuff. So I highly recommend you Google that clip because it is hilarious. And do please watch The Jerk and The Man with Two Brains. But I couldn't think of a speech from that one. We got to watch some classic Steve Martin this weekend.
We do. We got a long list of movies, just of classic stuff to watch.
We do.
So. All right. Well, I'll keep. I'm gonna combine both of yours. I'm gonna be very patriotic and I'm gonna be very funny all at the same time. Mars Attacks. Jack Nicholson as the president when the aliens have completely destroyed Congress and they're going after. They've gotten into the war room and he's hiding behind a chair and they're getting ready to destroy him. And then all of a sudden he just turns that charm on in that very Jack Nicholson way. He's like, "Why are we even doing this?" He's like, "We can exist together. Earth, Mars." Why are we destroying things? Let's build things. Let's just, get along. And then it pans over to the alien and he's crying and then they kill him. But just Jack Nicholson giving a charismatic speech, which he's done some other good speeches too, which we might list here in a few minutes. So, but yeah, Mars Attacks.
Good one. I'll allow it. Dean?
We'll get the ridiculous patriotic speeches out of the way. Team America, World Police.
Yep.
Yep. Talking about dicks and assholes.
Talks about the three types of people in the world, and I won't go any further because I shouldn't be saying any of this speech on the air at
really
all.
Shouldn't. But yes, what Keith just said. Yes. I keep waiting for one of our shows to be able to send to my grandma. Like every week, I'm like, this
language.
Thank you. Every week, this is going to be the show.
Well, one of these days, I'm going to be able to show Ella one of these shows. Apparently, it is not this.
Nope, not this one.
Time.
Not this one.
Thanks, Keith.
Sorry, guys.
That was your speech, though, that you just named.
And if no one had interrupted me, it would have remained clean the entire time.
That's true.
I can bleep it in the podcast.
Oh, my gosh. All right, well, we're moving on.
Okay.
Speaking of America,
All right.
I am leaving the world of cinema.
Okay.
And, Vanessa, we see you, girl. We're getting there. I'm leaving the world of cinema and going to TV in what I believe to be one of the best TV speeches I've ever seen, which was Will McAvoy on The Newsroom. If you haven't, The Newsroom was on HBO for 3 or 4 seasons?
3 seasons.
And it was not, it was HBO, so not everybody saw it,
Right.
But you had to subscribe to it. But you've probably seen this speech go around because it's been clipped out and put on YouTube a million times. Basically, Will McAvoy is a anchor, a highly paid, sort of like grandfather, older guy actor, not one of the young guys. And someone asked him in a forum, why is America the greatest country in the world? And he makes some lightheaded joke, and the moderator says, no, I'm going to hold you to that. And he goes on this rant about how America is not the greatest country in the world, but we used to be. And it sounds like would be kind of a hate speech, but it's really powerful.
Yeah, he kind of calls out everybody.
He calls out everybody, and he talks about how great we used to be and how we used to run all this innovation and how great we were before we beat our chest and, we
worked together.
Yeah,
weren't so partisan.
And it was like, it winds up, it was just a really well written and well acted speech.
Yeah.
So, Will McAvoy played by
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels. I know the name escaped me. I pictured him, but okay. So that was my.
All right. Well, then I will stick with television, and I'll even stick with Sorkin, just because.
Yeah. Well, if it's a good speech, it's Sorkin.
Yeah, it usually is, and I know. I think even Katie had commented on my post saying that when I shared the thing from from our Facebook page, Katie chimed in and said one of the ones from The West Wing. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But the one I wanted to mention was similar to The Newsroom, where it was in that first scene of the very first episode of the series, as it was for Newsroom. It was for a little show called Studio 60.
Yeah.
Little show didn't last very long, but
Womp womp.
it's probably my favorite Sorkin show. Had a great cast, and it was a speech given by Judd Hirsch, who was the showrunner of an SNL type show, and he basically interrupts the opening skit or sketch. I forgot which one it is. They're very particular about it. Anyways, and he basically says, "We're putting out crap television. We used to challenge."
Why are you watching this?
Yeah, he was saying, change the channel. This isn't any good anymore. We used to be really good. We used to challenge you, and we used to make you think. A lot of similar to the Newsroom. It's like we used to do a lot of stuff that really challenged each other, and we used to really really had a passion for the arts, and now it's just kind of like, commerce and economics is more important than trying to be creative and trying to put out something that is thought-provoking. So it's really good. I'd definitely suggest it. Let me see if I can find the... Let's see. Yeah, Martin. Katie said the Martin Sheen speech in the cathedral on the West Wing. So I've caught West Wing here and there, so I'm not exactly sure which speech it is, but I will find it and put it in our article on popshow.com.
Definitely. Dean? We're just going to keep going until we run out of speeches.
We could.
We could. Sure. The Yoda's speech about the Force being his ally from Empire Strikes Back.
All right.
I like that one.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good one. Are you going to elaborate?
There's not really much. There's not much to say. I mean, other than Yoda's just a small diminutive character. Luke is being the whiny brat that he typically is.
Skywalker's man, I tell you.
Runs in the family. How it's he's asking the impossible. He can't do this. Yada 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 yada. So all the things that he can't do, and Yoda's saying, basically saying how strong he is because the Force is his ally, and with it, he can basically do all these incredible things, that sort of thing.
So, I have on my list, and Vanessa mentioned it as well, the Remember the Titans Gettysburg speech. But that's not what I'm going to dwell on this round. I'm just going to do a twofer. So
go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of gave it twofer because I threw out Katie's as well. So
so the Remember the Titans Gettysburg speech, of course, Remember the Titans being about an integrated school when integration was new to America, and this football team of black boys and white boys having to learn to work together. And it was a very powerful speech by Denzel Washington. But my next nominee, which is of course great and should be on the list, I am adding Robin Williams' speech in Dead Poets Society when he's talking to the boys and he's telling them, and they're looking at they're in their prep school, right? And they're looking at these old dudes and they're like, what are these guys saying to you? Like, what is it? Seize the day, carpe diem. And it's just like, I think it's so telling to Robin Williams's acting talent, because I also thought of his speech in Good Will Hunting when he's talking
but you're going to say Aladdin.
Well, no, not Aladdin. But again, diversity in acting. But
Yes.
when he's talking to Good Will Hunting and is saying, I ask you about art and you tell me that, you've read every book about, Michelangelo, but you've never stood in the Sistine Chapel. And, he gives good speeches and I miss him.
He's got a documentary coming out. Well, not him, but there's a documentary coming out about him soon. So
that was kind of a triple, because Remember the Titans and Dead Poets Society and Good Will Hunting. You can skip me next round if you want to.
It's fine. There's plenty of good ones out there. I mean, let's see, what's our list up to right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, we're close to 20 right now, so we'll keep rolling for a few more.
Well, I only have one more.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, you spit out 3 of them right there.
I know. I kind of used them all. Oh, your turn.
That's fine. Go for it. Oh, my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let's see here. I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of my favorite movies of all time, Ghostbusters. The speech after the 3 scientists get fired from their... Is it Columbia? I think it was filmed at Columbia, but I don't think they ever say what university they work for. Okay. Well, they get fired from the university which they taught, and Ray and Venkman are standing there on the steps, and Ray's kind of freaking out, and Venkman and his cool, calm collectedness is going on, saying, no, this is good. We're going to go into business for ourselves. This is a sign. This is fate. This is how we're going to do it. And Ray's all, nah, I've worked in the private sector. They expect results. And then Ray takes out a 3rd mortgage on his home that he was born in. And
everybody has a 3rd mortgage.
Exactly. Yes. So that Ghostbusters speech about going into business for themselves.
That's a good one.
So, Dean, what do you got?
Well, Sarah took my my Dead Poets Society on my list.
Jerk.
So the next one would have to be William Wallace's speech from Braveheart, where he's talking to his ragtag army. Mm-hmm. The Scottish people have been suffering years of oppression by the English, and finally they're about to fight back. And he's giving this rousing speech about how they'll never take our freedom from us. It was not along the same lines as Independence Day, but now for Scotland instead of America. So all the better.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah. No, that one. While I was reading lists on the internet today to study for the show, that one was very highly ranked, usually number one.
Yeah, it's usually easily top 5, depending on how what kind of list it is. You know?
Yeah, I think it comes to everyone's mind.
So,
Along with the Independence Day speech.
Yep.
And this one that I'm about to say, Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yep.
When he, coffee is for closers and goes on about the bonuses. Number 1 salesman gets a car, number 2 salesman gets a watch or something, and number 3 salesman, the prize is you get fired. So, it's
so glad I'm not in sales.
It's it's gruff. It's full of profanity. Alec Baldwin is a total jerk, but it's motivational. It's it kind of pumps you up in that weird hostile business sort of way.
It is.
So that was the last one on my list.
Okay. Well, one, when I shared the little post about what we were doing tonight on my Facebook page, had a few suggestions from some people, and my buddy Kemp mentioned one that I'd completely forgot about, but I really enjoy, the people speech from Men in Black, when Kay's talking to Jay out on the bench there, and he's talking about aliens and how everything's going on around us, and a person can understand this, but when you start getting in like the groups of people, that's when the hysteria starts.
Oh yeah, saying 30 years ago we knew.
It's a trap.
Nope, that's not the drop I wanted actually, but it's son of a okay. Everything's going haywire in my box.
Well, like when they said,
there we go. That's what I was trying to.
They say 100 years ago we knew the Earth was flat, and 30 years ago we knew that.
Well, some days we still.
Wow.
Some people still think that though.
Because if the Earth wasn't flat, all the water would fall off.
I refuse to acknowledge that line of thinking.
So, but yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that one, and that one's a really good one. So that was Kemp's throw in. For me, if I needed to throw another one out there, I'm going to go back to the National Lampoon, the Christmas Vacation. The bonus check speech got brought up on a lot of lists, but that's not my favorite rant of his from that movie. It's when everyone's about to leave. Earlier in the movie, he's everyone's tired, they're exhausted, everything's going wrong, and he slams the door, tells everybody put their stuff down. He's like, nope, you guys aren't going anywhere. We're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap dance with Danny Kaye. And, he threw some other words in there too. But that one, just that line, we're going to have the happiest Christmas. It always comes up in my mind during Christmas time. So,
well,
Dean, got any more?
Yeah. This is the last one on my list. I saved my favorite for last. Whether or not it's the best speech is debatable. The eulogy that Kirk gives for Spock at the end of Wrath of Khan.
It's a good one.
The entire death scene between Spock and Kirk is a well acted scene. It's probably the best acting I think that William Shatner's ever done in his life, and just the mood, how he delivers it, and how the final line of the eulogy is, of all the souls that I have encountered, his was the most human. It still makes me cry every time I watch that movie.
You gonna cry on us?
No, I'm not, because I'm not watching the movie. I'm just telling you about the movie.
Fair enough. All right, Sarah, did you want to say anybody's?
Yeah, Mary commented, and this was good. I hadn't thought of this one too. Fred Goldman's speech to Marcia in The People versus OJ.
That whole show was really good.
Yeah, that show was really good. Talking about Ron's killing, and it's
Well, yeah, because Marcia kind of. Yeah, right. Did I make that? Yeah, Marcia pulls it. She kind of like, she tries to do the whole sympathy thing where she's like, I know what you're going through. He's like, really? You've had a son killed? They're focusing on OJ and Nicole, and they're trying to debase Ron and what he was. Oh, he was a model, so he doesn't really matter. Let's focus on the football player and the hot girl, and it was a good speech. I'd forgotten about that one.
Yeah, Mary reminds us it is from the episode 100% Not Guilty, if you want to go back.
Fourth episode, because I went back and watched it before we started the show. All right, so am I wrapping this one up?
Yep.
I got this last one. Oh, man, I've got a lot of good ones, too, still. You know what? I think I'm going to go with... Oh, man. What am I going to go with? I don't want to end on National Lampoon again because there's a vacation speech that he goes on to. Clark Griswold really loses his cool really well. So I'm going to go with Billy Madison. When he talks about the industrial
pitch.
Industrial Revolution is similar to the puppy who lost his way. Goes on this whole thing. They cut to the very end of his talking about it, because he's in the competition. And then the judge is like, nope, that made no sense. May God have mercy on your soul. We are all dumber for it. And, that was fun. I missed classic 90s Adam Sandler. I don't know how well it holds up. I might have to go back and watch it.
See, I was just thinking that. I was wondering if that was stupid. May God have mercy on your soul. We're all dumber for watching this. If that couldn't apply to all of his movies.
I feel like some of his Netflix movies
maybe
for
not,
sure.
Maybe not Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah, and he's done some good stuff with. I heard the Meyerowitz stories are really good
Yeah,
too.
I heard they were good
and
too.
I just haven't gotten
seen them
around
yet.
to it yet. It's something I want to sit down and actually like watch. So
I'll have to give some more thought to Adam Sandler and his place in the world. Because
yeah.
I feel like I went to his movies religiously as a kid. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't think I could make it through any of them. Maybe Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
All right. That's a weird way to end the show.
Well, do you want to mention Vanessa's?
Oh, and Vanessa
I haven't seen
on
this
our
movie,
Facebook.
so I don't. Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Okay.
But she's watching live on our Facebook page. She says that she likes Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Now that you've covered up the comment, I can't read it.
Oh, sorry.
Diary of a Mad Black Woman. She does a lot of personal dialogue, and apparently there's a reconciliation in there, and it was just a really profound, amazing speech, according to our viewer and friend of the show, Vanessa.
Yep.
So thanks for the input.
So, I think that about does it for the show tonight.
Yeah, I think that's
guess-
it.
I guess if you want to stop watching, you can go catch some of the State of the Union still. Is it still going on? I don't know.
I don't-
Probably,
don't
but
know.
I still don't advise it. We
wouldn't either.
advise that you go to YouTube and check out these amazing speeches. And you know what? It is never too late to comment. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/popshow, find the episode. You can comment on Twitter @popshow. And, tell us what speeches really spoke to you, which ones you still think about, which ones you watch on YouTube occasionally. We want to know. This stuff really matters.
For sure, and we'll put up a whole post on popshow.com with with our picks and the listeners' picks.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for the show. Sarah, where can they find us on social media and stuff and things?
So I know I've said it about 1,000 times, but we
Yes.
do stream live every Tuesday starting at 8 p.m. on facebook.com/popshow. We also keep that page populated with all the things going on in pop culture land, comics, TV, movies, and games, occasional wild cards into music. We just love to talk. We
Maybe
want
some
to talk.
space stuff occasionally. 'Cause we like space.
we do. We like all the things. If it's pop culture, it's us.
Yeah.
You can also find us on Twitter @popshow.com or @popshow. Sorry. You can find us online @popshow.com, where myself, Keith, Dean, and many other friends of the show are kind enough to write up movie reviews, thoughts on stuff going on. I tend to write about This Is Us a lot, so if that's your thing, join us there.
Got to keep up with the forums.
That's right. Well, we have to talk about how did Jack die. We're going to find out. And soon it's going to be a thing.
If we don't have a crock pot next week after the next week's episode, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Well, I forgot that it might have killed Jack and cooked in it today. So you're lucky you're alive. Anyway, and don't forget, if you want the downloaded podcast version on your very own device, you can download us at iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or Podbean.
Very true.
And you can find me on Twitter @SarahJanetHill.
And you can find me on Twitter @VAPianist. And Dean doesn't want to be found, so
No,
we're not
don't
going to
find-
give him
don't
any-
I don't do the Twitter thing.
Don't even look for him.
Nope. All right. Well, I guess that means I should have been doing this earlier.
Yeah,
but,
I wondered why I was just sitting here talking in silence.
well, because I like to hear your voice.
Aw.
But let's have Fingers play us out of here
Thank
with his
you.
Maniac Mansion remix. And we'll see you all next week.
Absolutely. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye, guys.